welcome to this edition of ELCAT News. I'm Jen Carlos. After several months of public hearings and input from residents, the Town Council voted on Tuesday to adopt a bylaw regulating the operation of adult businesses in town.
The reason for this public hearing is to read for the second time a new proposed zoning bylaw relating to adult stores, clubs, and video theaters. Adult uses may not be located within 1,000 feet of each other, 1,000 feet of the nearest lot line of a residential district, 1,000 feet of place of worship, 1,000 feet of a school property line or other nonprofit educational use, library or museum, within 1,000 feet of a playground or park. Signage must meet all requirements of Section 5.8 of this bylaw, except that no advertisement, display, or other promotional materials to be visible to the public from any public way, including but not limited to pedestrian walkways.
This use is protected under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. We know that. However, the courts have held that towns can regulate the location and other aspects of this use in order to limit secondary effects of such an establishment on the community. And we have a summary of many reference citations here that was put together by the Municipal Research and Services Center, which is based in Washington State. And I would like to, rather than read 6 pages of this, submit this as an exhibit to the hearing.
Approve the new zoning bylaw relating to adult stores, clubs, and video theaters as read into the minutes at the February 13th, 2018 Town Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The council also opened a public hearing to hear a first reading of a proposed general bylaw prohibiting business activity associated with recreational marijuana, the provisions of which mirror a zoning bylaw adapted last year.
Marijuana accessories, equipment, products, devices, or materials of any kind that are intended or designed for the use of planting, propagating, cultivating, growing, harvesting, manufacturing, compounding, converting, producing, processing, preparing, testing, analyzing, packaging, repackaging, storing, containing, ingesting, inhaling, or otherwise introducing marijuana into the human body.
Continuation of a third public hearing on a zoning bylaw to allow mixed-use development opened with a presentation by developers of their conceptual plan for the 40-acre site of the old package machinery building on Chestnut Street.
So this is Cherry Hill. We call it our Cherry Hill Town Center. It is a mixed-use project with retail on the ground floor and office space up above. But what I like about it is it just creates a great place. And it's built with great materials. And it's the type of, represents the type of quality that we're all about in all of our projects. These are our units. This is actually a rental project, but you can see extremely high-end hardwood floors, granite countertops, beautiful bedrooms, very large. You see the materials, very high-end products and finishes, high-end closets, everything.
While the hearing was on the bylaw proposal itself, much of the discussion following the presentation shifted back to the project, with residents expressing concerns or support for the concept.
And they say, you know what, we think there should be a hedge in front of this parking, or maybe a little tiny brick wall. And we're going to say, yeah, we think that's a good idea. And oh, you know what, we need some decorative streetlights here so that it kind of sets the right pedestrian atmosphere. And we're going to say, you know what, we think that's a great idea. That's how planning board site plan approval works for M&M.
What happens if you don't think it's a great idea?
Excuse me?
What happens if you don't think it's a great idea?
I'm going to tell them I don't think it's a great idea.
We'll find a compromise.
We're going to work with them and come up with a project that at the end of the meeting, their turn when they go to vote on the plan, the next words out of their mouth are, how fast can you build it? This does not work as a special permit. It is too uncertain. We can't finance it. We can't plan it. It is too fraught with uncertainty. And when we were going through the process with the planning board, they said they wanted certainty. And Joe said he agreed.
We agreed to it.
And that was important. So again, that is a very important issue for us, and we'd ask you to please keep it as proposed. And again, we commit to you, we are going to go through site plan and make it great.
And I was passionate about a special permit 2 weeks ago, and I'm equally as passionate tonight. A mixed-use development is made up of a planned business development and a planned unit residential development, conceivably. you're bringing these two uses together, and both of those uses are required in East Long Meadow separately to have special permits. You shouldn't be afraid of a special permit. If you are, I question why you're afraid of a special permit.
Speaking for the planning board, my best sense is that if the council wants to go with special permit, we'll do special permit. But we also feel, we know that we can put conditions on site plan review, that approval, that may not be as strict or as unflexible as those in a special permit, but they can be put in there. So, we do it both ways.
600 units of housing in this town is unprecedented. It is historic if a bylaw like this is passed or a change of this level. We as townspeople are not allowed to vote on any of this anymore. We've handed this over to you. And I am flummoxed that the community does not know about this. And we can blame them for being apathetic. But when they read the reminder article, they're thinking, it's going to be a little this or that. They're equating it to some of our senior housing in town.
Personal opinion, I'm all for this. My son played soccer down on that field years and years and years ago. And that land has sat there for sale for how many years, and nobody has tried to purchase that land because it's probably polluted with chemicals and things like that. And I think this would be a nice change for this town where when I'm retired, but when I want to sell my home, that I could get onto a property like this and stay in town in East Long Meadow.
We're looking, we looked in West Springfield, found a place, we're going to buy it. On the way back from seeing it the second time, my wife said, I want to leave East Long Meadow. And I agreed with her. We don't have any options. This project looks like it's going to give us that option. And I guess I'm asking you for the right to stay in East Long Meadow. I'm sure a few things have to be worked out, but I think that this is good for town, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to feel the exact same way about this.
Just to keep it in perspective here, what the developer is saying is nice and it sounds good and it's what he wants to do and what they plan to do. But the function that you're dealing with is not what he's telling you. It's the function of what you are going to allow to happen on this 40-acre piece. There's no guarantee that once you approve a zone change, that any of the proposals that you're hearing tonight are ever going to take place. They could be sold, their rights could be sold off to another developer and another project put in place. So what you need to look at is the bylaw the planning board has presented and how you feel that benefits the community overall and how that development that you see in your minds as in the best interest of the community is going to happen. And if it's what the developer proposes, great. But don't rely on what he is saying as gospel. He means it, but it doesn't mean that financial or fiscal situations aren't going to change in the future and you're going to have somebody else in here. Or that this 40-acre parcel isn't divided into smaller pieces within the zone to allow smaller development pieces to occur that are unrelated to one another but still fit with the overall of what you're doing. So I believe, my suggestion is that you consider all of those in any bylaw that you approve for the development of this parcel, for this project, or any other type of multi-development project.
After hearing lengthy discussion, Council President Kevin Manley proposed a subcommittee to consider some of the recommendations and draft a revision for the next meeting.
The public hearing for planning is closed, so I think we should put a subcommittee together to examine the changes that people had concerns about and put it together bring it back and continue this hearing until the next meeting.
The council also met jointly Tuesday with the school committee as part of the annual budget process outlined in the town charter.
Just to put it in sort of large terms, what we're trying to accomplish in the FY 2019 budget is first and foremost to maintain our current level of programming and student support. for all students.
That what the school district needs is a 2.75%, and that's to maintain our contractual obligations and add a few items which to move the district forward. Our leadership team has been extremely fiscally responsible. They never ask for more than what we truly need. You hear a lot of discussions about social emotional needs, the technology, and those are the only items that have been added. So that is truly what the school department needs, is a 2.75%.
You had, for Gordon, your capital requests.
Yes.
What's the priorities for you on the capital side?
You have that one?
I know on the original list, or a list that was submitted at high school, there was 2 projects on the high school listed on the original submission.
Yep. Still,
Okay.
still high school, there are projects that are on the list from the high school.
Can we talk about those 2 projects?
Sure.
The 2 specific ones that I'm talking about are going to be the freshman wing roof
Yep.
project and the electrical upgrade piece portion. Because if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at the list that you had, those would not impact this MSBA request.
But the electrical would, it would take us out of consideration.
So in our thought is the roof potentially would as well. We actually visited the MSBA meeting
On Valentine's Day. Yeah.
And part of their discussion were they were funding projects with roofs that leak. And so our discussion as a committee with the administration is that it probably is not responsible, as much as we feel it is responsible to take care of our buildings, it would probably be a disadvantage for us to get into the MSBA core project if we were to also fix that freshman roof.
I think if I'm reading what you guys are saying is, let's give it another go. Let's see what happens. And if we end up getting it, then we can readdress the roof.
That's right.
Because that's, by fixing the roof after we get it, doesn't mean they're going to take it away from us at that
That's
point.
correct.
Right.
So we can find some curative things, so it's not like, okay, we're going to give it to you, and you're going to have to leave the roof in disrepair for 8 years if it
Right.
gets worse. We can now then do curative stuff because we already have.
While you're in the process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And finally, Town Finance Director Sarah Menard provided a snapshot of the town's financial position, noting that overall, the town is in excellent fiscal health.
Here. The first page in your packet is the fiscal 2017 balance sheet for all fund types. I'd like to direct your attention to the first column of numbers, which is the general fund. Our balance sheet is looking very good. You will notice that we had a decrease in tax lien receivables due to the auction. Fiscal 16, we had $821,560 in receivables versus FY 17, we had $255,608. Our undesignated fund equity increased $979,268 year over year, with a total increase in fund equity of $1,132,119 year over year. This is good. We have a very healthy balance sheet. That's a really good thing to be in. I'd like to talk about the current fiscal 19 draft budget, which is page 6 of your packet. These numbers do include the governor's budget proposal, which is the most recent information on the cherry sheets available. I did provide examples of what our budget would look like with a proposed overall 1%, 2%, or 3% increase. And the number at the bottom, you'll see the balance. It's the sources less the uses. This is how much of the levy capacity we would not be taxing to.
Beginning Monday, March 5th, East Longmeadow High School will host an exhibit highlighting the Harlem Renaissance, a period of exuberant and influential cultural and artistic expression in New York during the 1920s. The exhibit will cap the month-long celebration of Black History Month and coincide with an ongoing exhibit of women's history, as well as a display of projects created by students participating in the ELHS History Fair. The exhibits will be on view through Friday and Saturday, March 9th and 10th, when students present Bartanum 2018, the annual talent and variety show at the high school. So it's a great time to come out and see the diversity of talent and activities going on at ELHS. Now it's on to library learning, our highlight of news and events happening at the East Longmeadow Public Library. On Wednesday, March 7th from 9:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. is Spring Storytime registration. You can register for the 6-week session online, by phone, email, or in person. The session begins the week of March 5th and runs through April 9th. Registration is required for Discover Stories and More and Tech Time. Also on Wednesday, March 7th is Chess Club from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. If you enjoy playing chess or if you are interested in learning how, please join for a game or two. No registration is required for this drop-in program, and children ages 6 to 16 are welcome to join. Also on Wednesday, March 7th at 6:30 p.m. is Consumer Information Home Improvement, presented by Milagros S. Johnson, Director of the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information, a local consumer program working in cooperation with the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office. Participants can ask questions and receive information before hiring a home improvement contractor. And on Friday, March 9th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. is Not Just Knitting, an open space to connect with others, share materials or ideas, and spend a relaxing morning at the library. New members are always welcome. And on the farewell party for East Long Meadow Children's Librarian Jenny Kinder, here's seen reading one of her favorite books to the kids for one last time.
So she pulled herself together and wiggled her bottom and sprang from the top step of the porch. But Kitten only tumbled, bumping her nose and banging her ear and pitching her tail. Yes. Poor Kitten.
Thanks for watching. I'm Jen Carlos. We'll see you next time.